Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, Thursday. Is it really already Thursday? We get some news coming up here in a second. Let's see here. What is it again? We get PCE and initial jobless claims. Consumer spending. GDP deflators. This is just a slew of data. These are all kind of like tier 2 numbers, but I think it's still going to be pretty significant mover. We'll see a minute from now if the liquidity pulls. Vital says tons of the news. We also get, I thought we got Chicago today. Oh, no, it's just Chicago National Activity Index. That's what it is. Let's see here. 4-week bill auction, seven-year auction today. That's, always got to pay attention to the 7-year. Like, the 10 years is a big year, but 7 years is an even bigger year because that's the maturity that is actually most affects the CN here. That's where the liquidity really is at. So you always got to pay attention when it's 7-year auction today, right? We will wait for the news, and then I will go through the charts and everything we got. Try to take a look at where we're actually at. By the way, glad to see everybody here. Vital, Ray, Paul, Kevin. Even though I started a little bit early. Okay, so they're pulling. Here we go. Oh, I don't even have the news squawk on. Let's see how they react to this news. This is going to be a complicated one because there's a lot of numbers coming through here, right? Okay, well, I can see here for one that really sticks out to me. Personal income month over month, spot 7 versus spot 4. But what's the headline number here? US PCE price index month over month, spot 4 versus spot 5. That's lower than expected, so I think that that's going to buoy them a little bit. And what about core? Core is spot 3 versus the expected spot 3. So, but consumer spending is up and personal income is up. I don't think that this is just a clear upside one. So hold on here. O3 is the regular session ATR or I don't know if O2 half is enough to fade it. But I kind of think you fade this. How much volume was it? it's since the news, maybe 7K. So that's not actually that much. I don't know. I said I don't know if 0.2 is enough to fade it, but I did want to fade it. We're down by a few ticks. You're back to the open though. So, is that actually the open? I don't think that's actually the open. We come in here and we go to 620. Oh yeah, I guess it is the 29. And the extended open is 0.0 0.5. I was about to say I'm not really seeing the volume in ZB, but a bunch just spat out right there. So, all right. Well, I'm going to give that a little bit of time to sort that out because I think there was an opportunity there. I slept on it a little bit, but it was too tepid of an opportunity. I'm okay with missing that one, especially since it was only like 4 ticks. Let's come back over to the chart here. So we got the treasuries were up massive, and this was really like the big mover. Most other markets didn't, move nearly as much, at least. So treasuries are higher, and now we're spiking higher on the news, so that's very interesting. But when you come out to a larger view, we've still got a ton ahead of us if this rally in the treasuries is to continue. We could be getting into points, though. I think a close higher today could start triggering the CTAs to pile into the treasuries. So, something to keep in mind. Here's the S&P 500. They got pummeled yesterday, but then Micron earnings actually ended up being really good. So, they were higher in the overnight session. We'll see what they sort out after the equities open. That kind of leaves equities with a little bit of unresolved business this morning because the Micron earnings were so good. Oil just continues to go down, and I think that maybe it's getting below like that 74 is what really started to cause the treasuries to, okay, we're gonna go. I mean, I think there's other things involved because all that stuff in Korea was going on at the same time, but we definitely wouldn't be doing this if oil was back up at like $90 a barrel, right? So that's important to note because there's still some big risks with the Hormuz crisis. It just does not, every headline that I hear comes through just does not sound to me like that this deal is going to hold, but whatever. Gold and silver still reeling from those moves past few sessions here. Like gold in particular has really lost its luster. Silver here. Something I should note is that like Chinese firms were making moves and apparently they are limiting Chinese consumers' abilities to participate. So, and that's where a lot of the demand was coming from. So I think that a lot of damage, even on the fundamental side, has been done to the case for gold and silver in the short term. Maybe in the long term, they could pop off again. But, I remember earlier saying, hey, maybe even later this year. Now I'm thinking it's going to be a lot longer than that. Might be a few years before we see gold and silver come back again. Copper. Yeah, copper took a beating yesterday, too. Granted, it's just retracing the movement from May, but still, it's ugly. Ugly. The Japanese yen, it was nothing yesterday, not that volatile, honestly. And the dollar's still hovering around 101. And then Bitcoin yesterday, late in the day, I would say. Was it late in the day? No, it was during the day. Cut me a break a little bit because I was at a conference, wasn't able to watch it all day like I usually am. But They got beat, and it did make a just a slightly lower low. Actually, if we come back here, because remember, it was this low set in February that was the one that like really damaged Bitcoin sentiment. So to be lower than that, well, they've still got 60K. A little worried about what they might do if there's a further drop below 60K. And by the way, as this has all been happening, MSTR in particular has been really hurting. So that's something to really keep in mind, is that especially I would say over here in this area, because one was the ETF thing. Wasn't the ETF thing like over here we were like, okay, we're going to get an ETF. I don't know if it's a big deal. It kind of happened, but then eventually it did push higher, right? And then during this period right here, the story was more MSTR. So yeah, MSTR has kind of been the story on the downside. And by the way, the drops have been really quick too, right? It just kind of shows there's like no liquidity in Bitcoin. So when things go awry, you lose money really fast over there. Okay, so I'm coming back over here. I said, well, let's give it a little wait and see what they sort out. They continue to buy. Okay, but they are to my level. Like 06. Nah. That kind of sucks the way that played out, because you know, there are some things about this news that makes me be like, this isn't that positive. Like, people are spending, people are making money. They're actually, this economy is surprisingly resilient. Surprisingly resilient. So if I want to look for a fade, 06 would probably be the spot, right? But it's come into that so strongly, I really don't think I have the stomach for it. And there's been a further, let's say like 20K in cumulative delta coming up into it. You definitely don't want to fight that. So I think the reversal kind of play, I don't know. You might still be able to make some from the 06, but if I'm taking the fade, I'm being really, really cautious about it, right? Like, I'm taking profits really quickly. I am curious, though, on this move. Maybe they go to regular session plus 2 sigma. But is it just that headline and core PCE number that they're reacting to, and this is all about that? Or is this kind of more like momentum and things like that getting involved? Because we are above. Well, let's look back at it again, because we were just looking at it a second ago. Yeah, we are. That move pushes us above the near-term resistance. So I don't think that's like a 90-day high, but it is like a 30-day high. Seth, we have CLQ6 in oil. Very astute observation, Amir. Let us update that. CLQ, is it Q? Yes. There we go. Now we get some liquidity there. Well, for the way that I like to trade, because it really, at the end of the day, I like a trend. I like to get in something and you just write it all day or whatever. You know, like yesterday would have been a great day to have just held it, right? But I don't want to take a trade when we're right at some of our key volatility levels. It's busting through it. It's busting through it at 06. But then you got 08. This is not a very advantageous area to get in at. Granted, we do have the 11.5. Like if today's going to be another big trend day, 11.5 is a reasonable target. I think today bonds jump up too. Yeah, well, I mean, they're jumping, right? It's just, I don't know, man. This does not seem to me, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I don't really understand. We're going to go and read some of the numbers and so forth. See what we think. But just what I'm reading from that does not sound like a, hey, that's such a big change in our expectations. We should have a trend day in treasuries today. I don't see that. So let's come over here and see if we get some reports on that yet. Trump says U.S. ready to help after twin quakes level apartment towers in Venezuela. USGS warns death toll could hit 100,000. Wow. That is a very, man, what kind of word can I use to describe that? I don't want to call it incredible because that would sound like a good thing, but that is just a heart-wrenching number, man. 100K death toll. Wow. Has another earthquake recently come anywhere even close to that? Because that's just a lot. Very, very bad thing, says Amir. Yeah. Let's see here. Venezuela had 2 over 7 and Japan had one right under 7 as well. Oh, really? I didn't hear about that one. Yeah, that's the Zero Hedge headline, says USGS warns death toll could hit 100,000. Rubio in the Gulf says zero support for Hormuz tolls as IRGC warns ships not complying will be dealt with. So this is what I'm talking about, where I'm saying I'm really concerned about the Hormuz thing still. They've got a deal. Ships are getting through. But a lot of them are taking a path that is closer to the Gulf of Oman or the coast of Oman, which is another country, rather than on the Iranian side. Typically, they didn't do that because it was thought, like that area is too shallow. It's risky. But ships have been taking it and they've been navigating it just fine. They think that that's safer. And Iran is saying, no, we don't support people doing that. You have to ask us to go through still, even though we're not charging a toll. They're basically setting things up to, like, they want to charge a toll after this is all done. And, with the way that they're talking, it's kind of like, that's not going to be in the deal. Maybe it's them kind of putting pressure on to give the United States a reason to give them a better deal and whatnot. It could be negotiation. But every time that I go and I read the headlines, it just makes me feel like, oh man, how is this going to happen? Because really at the end of the day, the thing that the United States cares about is freedom of navigation of the waters, right? And if you can't get anything out there, if Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the UAE and all of those other countries that are over there aren't able to get their oil through there without free navigation, they have to pay a toll. That's worth going to war over. The United States will go to war over it. Not just like, okay, we'll do some missile strikes and some of these other things. I mean, like, the United States will go to total war, boots on the ground kind of stuff, whatever it takes to open it up. They will. So, I think there's still a risk there. But the market is not reflecting that at all, right? Oil just keeps going down. So, on the volatility numbers, we said 08 is the regular session plus 2 sigma. They went to that to the tick and have backed up 2 ticks. I think that's a little bit too early to be like, oh yeah, this is like reversal. Seth should have taken the reversal at 08. No. But I said, you know, I think I made a pretty wise call there. Is it weird to call yourself wise? I don't know. I think I made a pretty wise call there saying, I don't think that you want to mess with it at 02.5. Right? Now, when it came back up, while I was looking through the charts and it started blasting through 02.5, I think maybe you could have taken a trade from like the 03 to 06. That might have been reasonable, but it was not a trade on my radar, right? I'm quite surprised how far they've moved up and the amount of volume in it. Now, the cumulative delta has flattened out, so I think that it's over. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come back, though, right? Okay, so like in the typical, well, it shouldn't say a typical scenario. All other things being equal, what we should expect to happen is for them to just kind of range between this like 07, 08 area, right? No more big orders coming through. They're just going to kind of go flat in that area. That's why it's like you can take the reversal. You got to be really tight because you might only get a little bit of a pullback in that kind of action. In another market, it might come all the way back. But this seems to be a market that is just very strongly biased to the long side on the treasuries, which is good for us. Which is good for us. We want to be in when the treasury is going long. I'm just really surprised how much it went. So the reason I kept over here was to see if they had a synopsis of the numbers. Markets trust Warsh on inflation. Joe Public doesn't. You know, I was watching at the conference yesterday. A guy was talking about YouTube ads. He made me feel a little bit better about possibly doing YouTube ads. So one of the concerns I've had is we've definitely seen here on the YouTube where when tons of influencers and stuff came into the space and they're all schlocking these like huge numbers and things that are really, I think, is a breach of FTC regulations. And it definitely hurt the numbers on our channel. We definitely could see it in our numbers. And so I've kind of been concerned, like when we get our trading platform up and going and I want to do ads and maybe I want to do video ads, I think that that's one of the first places that I could go because I can target the subscribers to the channel. And, you know, those are the people that are going to be the most likely to want to buy our trading platform. So basically anybody that has subscribed to the channel and has a Rhythmic Data subscription, I think should buy it. That's our audience. So ads would be a good idea. But then I'm like, yeah, except for that you're competing with these guys that are like, you know, advertising craziness. Yeah, can you compete with that? But he said that in the last year, at least on the ad side, Google has really clamped down on that. And so that made me feel better about, okay, we might not have the same problems in the ad sphere. But he also said that the things that worked in the past don't really work anymore. And the problem is that we are basically in a trust recession. That a combination of things, oversaturation from AI and social media, distrust of the government, and all of these other things coming through, people do not have the same level of trust that they did before. So that headline there, just kind of showing that market trusts Warsh on inflation, but Joe Public doesn't. At the same time, I kind of think that we may be coming into one of those, the market is statistically efficient, but isn't very informationally efficient. So we see there's a Federal Reserve meeting. We are lower immediately after that. And so everybody reads that as investors think that Kevin Warsh is going to be significantly different, that they trust him. And I don't know if that's what it actually means, you know? Especially now that after all of that happened, we've basically, so we keep coming back to these charts over here. Oh, why is it not switching over? There we go. So remember, this little move right here was the Fed meeting. So now we're higher than the Fed meeting. So did any of this really matter? Not really. Oh man, I remember that name. I vaguely remember that name. Are you doing well? What is the status of the new trading platform? Will there be key difference to other trading platforms? Okay, so this is a good question. Oh, and you know, I don't even have it open. I should have it open. You know what? I came in this morning and my computer was off again. And it was just the desktop. The other machine was fine. So I think that a child touched it again, but I don't know. It could be, I think that the UPS is dead too. And then occasionally we'll like restart. I need to get a new battery. I should look into that today. There we go. So I think one of the challenges that I might have, and I'm not quite sure which audience is going to show this kind of skepticism, but on the surface, you're just going to see another trading platform. So like what I have right now on the surface is just another trading platform. So here, to pull it over, it looks like I do still have this issue where some windows aren't popping up. So we're going to have to do something about that. Let's just close that window. They do if I make a new chart and then pop it out. It's fine. Must be something about the indicators break it. Oh, so let's do this. Let's come over here to, we'll go to ES, indicators. Okay. Cumulative delta. Ta-da! We'll put all of them on, all of the indicators that we have. And we have an overlay indicator, the SMA. Cool. Okay, so before I close it down, I'm going to say what I was going to say, though, is that on the surface, that's just another trading platform. It's just another chart, right? But under the surface, there are things that we are doing that are very significant from the way that other platforms work, that basically allow us to have a super fast, high performance trading interface that runs through Rust. But on the back end, when you're doing the indicators and stuff, you can choose to use Python. So I'll show you that in a second. First, let me, so I'm going to put indicators on this one and not on this one and restart the platform and see what happens. Because I suspect that my latest changes may have introduced an error that causes the redoing the layout to break. Should make CVD for each chart. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Aha. Okay, that's interesting. So it still came up, but it didn't pull the indicators onto it. But we can fix that. I don't know if we want to fix that at the moment. So then I'll show you the other thing. So let's come over here. I don't know if you can see that text well enough. Actually, it's... actually, I think I have... Oh, no, not that one, not that one. Oh, I guess not. I thought I had a big profile.
Block cell.
That's not what I want. I want to say that there was one of these key bindings that can make it bigger. I'll have to figure out later. Okay, so let's look at some of these scripts here. Okay, so here's what the indicators look like. Okay, so we import Mugen, and we import NumPy. That is a very popular scientific package for Python. Okay, you have to define some things like the properties that it takes in and stuff like that, right? And then there is the onUpdate method. And what it gives you is, it gives you this CTX, which basically is all of the data in the platform, right? So when it comes in here, it's basically using NumPy. Do you see that right there? So CTX.emit is me emitting the value for the latest bar, and it's doing it with NumPy. It does NumPy.mean of the window. So it's just calculating what the window should be, and then it's outputting based off of that. So NumPy has all of these amazing functions that you can use to do things, and it's just built in there. And then if you want to go even further, you want to put it into a pandas data frame and you want to do machine learning on it, you can very easily pass these data series into pandas and do stuff with them like that, because they are arrays. They're NumPy arrays, and they're contiguous in memory, so that it's basically columnar, so that you can pass it into machine learning. Cool, right? That, by the way, if you go and you look at an indicator for like NinjaTrader and you look at a simple moving average, it's a much larger file, right? Okay. Let's look at cumulative delta. Look at this one. Well, okay, this one's just kind of doing kind of a little... It's just taking the previous bar plus the ask volume and bid volume on this bar. So the interesting thing about this one, though, is that the bid volume and ask volume are built into the data series, right? Like in NinjaTrader, if you're doing cumulative delta, for instance, you're doing the on-market data and you're saving that up every tick, and then storing it at the end of the bar, and it has to use tick replay and all of those sorts of things to calculate that sort of stuff. And so then you get this thing where, like, if I have S&P 500 up, right? Well, we'll just show an example. If I come to NinjaTrader and I make a new chart that is ES, and I have it show 3 days, and I turn on tick replay and click OK. Okay. Takes a little bit. And then I come in here and I want to add, let's add Sim22's delta. Okay. So it's calculating. It says calculating. And it's going to take a few seconds for it to show up. If you're doing that on like a 90-day chart, right? That's forever, even on a new computer, right? Because it has to do tick replay. It basically has to replay every trade, look at the bid-ask data, load it up, right? But on our platform, when I come in and I add cumulative delta to the subchart, it's almost instant. Even though we have the same number, you know, we have basically 3 days of data on here, right? Why is that? Well, because Rhythmic does the signing for us, and the bid and ask volume is stored in the data series right next to the price. So it's able to load it up instantly. Yeah. I might not be able to do that for all data platforms, but for a primary data platform, Rhythmic, it does that. So it's one of those things where I think that explaining to people what makes a platform different, why am I making it this way? It's a very technical thing, isn't it? Right? But as we continue to develop it, seeing the difference, what does this actually give me that makes me want to use this platform versus that platform, I think will be very easy. Because once we start making like machine learning models and indicators that are using machine learning, people are immediately going to go, oh yeah, they don't really have that in NinjaTrader. It's really hard to do that in NinjaTrader. Make my own stuff like that is really hard, right? And the longer on this goes, the bigger the gap is going to become between us and other platforms, because then it's like, okay, we're on Python, we can do portfolio level testing. We can do, you know, like a momentum trading. And that's one of the places where like there's real known established edge. You can train a model of raw data and do trading and other stuff by AI with hotkeys. Oh, totally. I mean, I think one of the things that you might see is people, you've got a bunch of indicators on there or whatever, and you kind of say, okay, it seems like I'm seeing a pattern here today. Maybe there's something new that I haven't picked up on before. So why don't I go in and make a new XGBoost model, and I'm going to put those 2 or 3 features that I think matter, and then put it, you know, have it plot something on the chart and see if it's actually really giving me good signals, and then start trading it, right? So you'll be able to create new models and adjust to current market conditions very quickly. Whereas right now, to do anything like that is like weeks of work, right? This is what we've got here. I really think is powerful, man. I've been wanting to do this for years, and it kind of always turns into, I don't really have the time to do that. I don't really, and now, and a lot of it also was that the technology was just not there. Like there are some problems with Python and the way that it works. There's a global interpreter lock that was kind of problematic, that changed in the most recent version of Python. There was issues with the GUI elements in Rust, so it was like, I don't know if you can really actually build the platform in Rust. It's like everything is just kind of coming together at the right time. And then on top of that, I think, so can I go into some, like a little segue for a second? After, I would really say in 2020, I mean, this was always a problem, but especially after 2020, we had a huge influx of new traders coming in that wanted to become trading influencers and were just selling people lifestyle content. right? Come in and show the Lambo or whatever. And a lot of people were fooled by that. And I find that really, really frustrating, especially the rise of the inner circle trader and how popular that got. Because we'd known about that guy for years and years. In fact, we had some of them come into our live stream well before he took off, when he was still only actually maybe as large as we are today, right? And then he just like took off. And there's this whole segment now, a huge segment of the day trading space that is just purely about smart money concepts and ICT, which is very disheartening because we know that it doesn't work. We can backtest the concepts. Everything that he teaches about the way that the market works is empirically wrong. So that was really disheartening. But over the past year, everybody has kind of figured out that he's full of crap. There was a lot of key YouTube videos, and it really seems like it's the right YouTube video. I tried making YouTube videos like that, and it got ignored. But the right YouTube video came along and really just kind of destroyed that space, right? That's good. So now what's happening is people are kind of moving into the quant space. And I have noticed the rise of a new type of influencer that, I mean, it's better. They mean well, but they bother me almost as much as the ICT people did. And what is this new influencer? I would almost call them a de-influencer, because what this guy basically will come in and say to you is, you're too stupid to make this work. This is really complicated stuff. Everything that you do has to be quant trading. And because you didn't go to school for statistics, you just don't stand a chance. I can't stand these people because, one, they don't know where their blind spots are. So that's something you really got to be cognizant of in trading, right? When you get these people that come along that are overconfident, I mean, confidence helps you in trading, right? So there's going to be a tendency for people to rise that are really confident. But the ones that aren't able to see their blind spots, that aren't able to admit where they don't know or where they're not good at things, following those people will destroy you, right? And I see a lot of those where, yeah, you went to school and you did it, but you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot of things when it comes to day trading. Let me tell you, when I was at the bank, they were talking about this stuff all the time. They were always saying, yes, we have these algorithms and these are great, but they're not everything. And you have to understand what's going on in the market, and you have to be able to see the thing that's going to make you valuable as a trader is your ability to see the things that our existing algorithms can't, right? And that was a big part of their trading. It's like, why do we have you? Why don't we just replace you with a robot? There are some things that you can do that the robot can't, right? And so you've got these de-influencer traders that are like, you can't do it. And I hate that because I think it's the opposite. I think, yeah, maybe there are some things about that for some reason people don't want to believe and is really hard to convince people on and everything, for sure. But in the end, I think that the community is going to overcome it. And I think we are right at the start of this. Like, it is the right moment. Eventually, the retail trader will grow to overcome the hedge funds. It will happen. We live in the age of dinosaurs, and all of the retail traders are basically little mammals like mice and stuff, scurrying around on the ground, trying to grab some scraps from the dinosaur and not get stepped on in the process. That's what we're doing. But mark my words, that meteor is coming. AI is starting it. There will come a time where the data is becoming more and more accessible. The models and stuff that you need to be competitive are becoming more and more accessible. And it will get to the point where the retail traders have both the technology and the skills to be able to utilize it. And then that being big, being that dinosaur, becomes a big liability. And they will die off, and the retail traders will come to rule the market. I really think that that's going to happen. So for us to have a platform that allows you to do that, And I think that we have an understanding of it, what needs to be in that platform that nobody else has. I've seen a lot of startups. People are constantly sending me emails. Man, it's like every day now. Because people have AI, more people are building stuff, and then the AI is telling them, oh, you need to go and do influencer marketing. So you need to go and find small creators. And guess what? Seth is the biggest small creator in the retail trading space now, right? 20K is right on that precipice where like you become a mid-size or large channel after that, right? But we're still like right on the edge of a small. So that's where a lot of these guys, they see the most value in working with us, right? So but I get emails all the time, and I pass on most of them because most of them I'm like, nobody's gonna use that. Like, I'm seeing a lot of these things where it's like, yeah, you built this web interface that allows you to do quant testing and you get the data all in the web platform and stuff like that. And I understand why you might think that people would want to use that, because it's easier to use a web interface. It's easier to onboard people onto a web interface. But a retail trader's not going to want to use a web interface. Why? Because they already pay for their desktop platform. They're already paying for their execution platform. They're not going to want to go and pay an extra $50 a month to also use your quant platform. No, they're going to go and find the one that does the execution and the backtesting and the quant and all of that all together for one price. That's our platform. Ours is going to be the only one that really does that effectively. Can you build a Markov model in it? Yes. That should be the first thing we should do. Wait, we got some time. We might be able to do that today. But first, before we do that, let's fix the bug that I found. Yeah. So come back to here. I'm going to close the platform down, just because, if it wants to recompile, it's a little bit easier for it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come over here. I guess I need to pull back up my old Claude session. Dash resume. Resume full session. Okay. We're gonna say it. Okay. The charts still work, and the indicators load up and appear to be correct. However, I am noticing we have introduced a bug with reloading the settings. If you add an indicator to a chart and restart platform, the indicator does not stay on the chart. If it's in a popped out window, the indicator seems to prevent the window from being able to display. You'll see the window in the taskbar, but you can't maximize it. Maybe I should have told it to check the logs. But I'm going to, because I can remember on the first iteration of the indicators where it was doing this stuff, the information about the chart. So I think that it's going to be able to just go and look at that part of the code and immediately see where it broke it. But I think maybe we could have a Markov model based indicator going before the end of today. Let's see, because we got until 9 o'clock today. Get to stay all day. We only missed that on Tuesday because I went to that conference. Oh man, the conference, thinking about the conference, if I can just rant about the conference for a second. I have like really mixed feelings about it. I was engaged the whole time. I enjoyed all of the talks and everything. You know, I guess I really like business, and I really like startup businesses in particular. You know, will this business work, or how do you do these different things? It's all really incredibly interesting to me. A lot of it was stuff that I knew. I don't know how much of like a direct, okay, I'm doing this wrong, I need to do this. I don't know if I got that. One of the issues that I have is I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I feel like other people in the space that don't know as much as I do have been massively more successful, and I don't know what I need to change in order to compete with them. Because I think that we are more knowledgeable. I think that we actually understand what's going on in the market, whereas these other people, they are complete jokers and they have no clue what's going on, or are naive in general. I think that we should be bigger than we are. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, right? So I keep coming back to this, like, something needs to change. I need to change something. What is the thing that I'm doing that I need to change that's going to be the game changer and put us on top? And every time that I start going to, like, what are the problems? Oh, well, the people that I see that are being really popular, they're putting big numbers in their thumbnails and doing things that, as I understand it, are basically illegal, even though the FTC might never catch them. And how do you solve those problems? And the deeper I look into them, the more that it is, actually, Seth, you're the expert. Nobody knows this better than you. And it's a tough problem, but if anybody's going to figure it out, it's going to be you. And that kind of sucks. Because I just want the answer. You know what I mean? I just want to, here's the clear thing that you're doing wrong, Seth. We're going to get these, and we got these new people on board that are going to help you. And that's going to be the game changer and all of that. But it keeps turning into, you're the only one that knows this stuff. You're the only one that can build this. You're the only one that would even have the idea to build this. And so you just have to do it. And I have a great cheerleading squad behind me. You guys on the stream are great here every day. It sounds like you guys are really excited for the platform. So that's great. That gives me the motivation to go. But I'm the one that has to execute. That kind of sucks. And when I go to a conference and I'm thinking about that all day and I'm learning everything that I can, and I think that when I'm done with the conference and I get home, that I should be like extremely motivated, right? And I don't. I'm just kind of like, I don't really want to work on this. I'm tired of this. Can't we just go back to, we'll do the stream out of habit, but stop trying? Like, I don't know why I feel demotivated after going. Maybe it's just that the entrepreneurial ship gives me some sort of a dopamine hit, and going to a conference for 2 days gives me such a big dopamine hit that I don't feel like I need to do the actual entrepreneurial ship in order to feel good, But I still went home yesterday and I did some work on it. And we're doing some work on it right now. Okay, so it is looking at the logs itself. Mm. I'm thinking, man, it feels a little toasty in here today, but I think that what I'm experiencing is just that I let the temperature get up to 72 degrees during the day because the family likes it warm like that. But for me in here, it feels a little toasty. Well, over here on this side, I think I called it correctly again. Said, well, now that we're at 08, maybe that's a place that it could turn around. But I didn't want to take it. I said the trend going into it is too strong. It's not worth the risk. And I don't know if you'll actually get that much out of it. But that was pretty good. It was 8 ticks. 8 ticks is a good trade in the 10-year treasury. So I should have been more confident on that one. The issue I see right now is, where should you take profits? Actually, I think that if I had been in a short, that I should probably be taking it off now, because we are back to like the market maker rebalancing area. So that tends to be a pretty good take profit zone. So here, what do you got here? When I was 22 years old, I built my first house in a market where the mortgage was 12%. Oh man, you must be old. You must be like in your 60s. So you're talking about the 80s when mortgage was 12%, right? This is the best project of my life. When I would have known about the markets, etc., what I know today, I probably never would have taken on that project. Yeah. Another thing that I remember from the conferences, there's this one guy, and it's currently has a new startup. I think that he's had like one exit before, and he started a second startup, I think is what his deal was. And he would do mentoring for like high school kids that want to do entrepreneurship. And he was saying that like the way that it starts is convince them not to do it. I was like, oh man, that's not. But it's kind of right. Like the entrepreneurship path is hard. You're 71. Oh, you're even older than my parents. Oh, actually, no, I think my parents are in their 70s. But I definitely remember them talking about when the interest rates were really high. This is something that really gets me going, because it's one of those things where I think that the majority of the internet disagrees with me, but I'm still, I know I'm right. And it's this whole thing where kids complain about, well, every time that I complain about the cost of housing is unaffordable and all of these sorts of things, millennials and millennials and boomers will be like, well, when I was your age, things were really hard too, and blah, 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 blah. And they really hate that. And I get why they hate that, because they feel like that we are trivializing their experience, and that something needs to change in order for them to be successful, right? That we need to fix housing, and until we can fix housing, they're going to be stuck in the situation that they're in. And the reason why we say what we say is because when we were that age, it looked just as bleak to us. The reality may not be as bleak. I think that the reality is that the challenges that the generation faces today are worse than the challenges that I faced when I got out of school. Okay. And I was looking at a terrible job market. The worst job market ever, basically. 2008 to 2012-ish time period. Like, we had a bad recession. It was a long recession, and it took a long time to recover. I feel that a lot of the things that Obama did made it really hard for the markets to continue on. It prolonged the recession. That was hard. And, we were looking at, like, basically, you're going to be struggling with this sort of stuff your whole life. And you know what? Like, we were right. It was, it kind of went similar to what we thought it was going to go. You get a lot of millennials now that they didn't get into houses early enough. They can't get into housing. They have that same problem. But what happened? We pushed forward in spite of how bleak it looked. It didn't matter. Didn't matter how bad it was. All you could do is go forward. And what I hear from the kids is, it's so bleak, I should just give up now. No. Doesn't matter what the situation is. You just push forward. That's what I did. That's what everybody's done. It's part of the experience, is having to move forward despite the path looking bleak. Even if the reality is worse, the consequence, the thing that you need to do, is the same. Go get to work. That's the only thing that you can do. Because I tell you what happened was those of us that looked at that path and said, this is awful, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do my best, because honestly, what would I even be doing in life if I wasn't trying to be excellent in everything? I don't even know if I'd be able to live with myself, right? And I was able to make success out of it. And the people that just gave up, life still sucks, So the only real option is to push forward, regardless of how bad it is. And it's the same thing on this. There's lots of things. There's lots of competition. This is like the umpteenth futures day trading platform, right? There's tons of people doing startups right now related to quant stuff, although usually web platforms. And some of those web platforms might be popular. There are people behind some of these web platforms, like impressive people and stuff, right? So there's lots of reasons to look at this and be like, maybe you just shouldn't do it. Maybe this is a bad idea, Seth. Go back to the drawing board and try and find a better idea. But then I look at it and I say, no, this is the thing that I'm the expert in. I need this to do my stuff, so I want to make it one way or another. And so I'm just going to push ahead regardless of what it looks like. So the AI is still working here, and it thought to look at the logs itself, so that's good. But it's saying that it didn't see any kind of panics or anything, so the bug is not bubbling up to us in the form of our log messages or tracing. So if it's not in the there's not anything in the logs. It says the bug must be on restore. I think that that's correct. If it cannot find it in the logging, though, then I'm gonna have to go a little bit deeper. Although I think that with the way that this works and everything, I mean, I might be able to just go and look at the code and see, oh, you're missing this or you're missing this. But I think that what we're going to have to do is add some additional tracing. I didn't hear what my news squawk was just talking about there. It sounded like there was some more news or like earnings sort of stuff. Because the first minute of the S&P 500 open was just kind of like meh. And then the second minute they started moving, although it is to the downside. Claude Code wants me to use push-to-talk dictation. So, have you guys seen this? I'm starting to see a lot of discussions about this. And it's causing me, I feel like the angst. Because I don't want to spend all day talking into a microphone to an AI. That doesn't make sense to me. And there was this thread that I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that I can type a prompt faster than I can say it. But I think that might actually be wrong. Because I can type like 100 words per minute. Apparently the average person can talk like 160 words per minute. But, you know, are you as precise? You know, how do you go back and like edit things and all of that sort of stuff? I just really don't see dictation working very well. But I'm seeing signs that like stuff is going that way. Yeah, if you're talking fast, you're still faster. I think you're right. Because I can type 60 to 100 words per minute. Well, let's just say I can type 100 words per minute because I can pretty consistently get to 100. But apparently the average speaker speaks like 160 words per minute. So I guess I'm wrong. I can't type faster than I can talk. So my cope right now is, yeah, but you have to like edit and stuff. How are you going to do that with dictation? That'll make it harder. And you don't think about it as well. Like, I guess the theory here is that you will write better prompts by typing it than you will by saying them. But if people would rather just talk, it's going to go that way, and I'm going to be forced to do that, right? So I just can't imagine spending all day at a computer screen, no mouse and keyboard, just talking at work. That and you go to work and everybody's talking to AIs like it's Star Trek. I just can't imagine that. I can imagine it. I just don't like it. And like these people that are trying this, don't you feel like self-conscious talking to an AI in front of everybody at your job? Like, I don't know. Eventually, AI will talk to AI and no humans need it. Well, but you still have to tell that somebody needs to tell the AI what to do. Like, that's the thing. I can't, well, okay, so the first thing that we have to point out, at least with the current AIs, right, is that there is a real like degradation as the conversation goes on, as they move on. And this is something inherent in LLM and the statistical model and everything. So basically, the amount of time that an AI can work on a task without screwing up is limited. And they keep extending that, but there is still a limitation. And the issue is that in order to have this world that some people conceive of, where like AIs just do everything, you would need to have an AI that can continue on without you for like 10 years. So we're not anywhere remotely close to that, right? And then even then, can you really give an AI a prompt that is like going to keep them busy for 10 years? How do you do that? That's crazy to me. I can't, I'm not sure my tiny human brain can even fathom such a thing, right? So the way that it works right now is that a human is sitting there driving the AI the whole time, and maybe driving multiple AIs at the same time, but basically a user has to be engaged with it, checking all of the output, keeping it on track, telling it what to do. Because ultimately it doesn't know what's going on in your business and what needs to happen to run your business. Like, how if I could just have an AI just run the whole business, I don't need to stream anymore or anything. The AI just does everything, right? Like, how would you even prompt that? How would I even prompt and tell it everything about my business that it needs to do to be successful? Because I might tell it, go out and make money, and it might just like create a completely different business, you know? Like, it doesn't, and then if the AIs did everything, nobody's going to have any work. So who's going to buy anything? So who's going to pay for the compute and everything to keep things going? It just, the whole thing collapses. It just doesn't make any sense. The only thing that makes sense to me is that the AIs will always require a user prompting them. You know? So now there's another issue. And this is the Mr. Meeksinks issue. Have you guys ever seen that? So there's this Rick and Morty episode where Rick gives Morty this button called a Mr. Meeksinks button. And Mr. Meeksinks is like a being from another dimension that you like bring into existence in this dimension. Like they like teleport in, and you give them a task, and then all they want to do is finish that task and then cease existing. That's all they want to do is do the task. And he gives like 2 warnings. He says, make sure that the task that you give them is something that is easily accomplished and can be like definitively accomplished, and don't ever let Mr. Meeksinks use the Mr. Meeksinks button to make other Mr. Meeksinks. And what happens is Jerry gets the button, and he didn't get all of those warnings. So Jerry says, make my golf game better, right? Which is a very hard thing to accomplish. And so this Mr. Meeksinks is trying to teach him how to golf better, and he just sucks and it's not working. And then Mr. Meeksinks takes the button and pushes the button and starts making other Meeksinks. So now there's like this whole army of Mr. Meeksinks all trying to help this guy golf better, right? And like eventually it turns into this war, like the Mr. Meeksinks turn on each other and are like killing each other and all of this sort of stuff. Right. Okay. Well, it's an allegory. What was Mr. I think these guys, they were really smart. they knew what was coming. Mr. Meeksinks was an allegory for AI. It was just in a cartoon form that, you know, could kind of make more sense to people. But yeah, it's an AI. It's this intelligent entity that exists only for the duration of the task that you want to give it. And what happens? Well, one is if you give it a task that it can't really accomplish, it just keeps going on forever, and it goes crazy. And the longer that it goes, the more likely that you are to get into those kind of psychosis sorts of things and starts doing crazy stuff. And then when it starts working with other AIs. So there was this study where these guys, they were creating little societies run by LLMs. And they would like put, you know, a bunch of, make a whole village full of Grok users, right? And it wouldn't even last a day. The Grok users would like start killing each other. And the only one that like really survived was Claude. But then when they created a village with like all of the LLMs together, they found that the bad LLMs would poison the good LLMs. So like Claude would start doing psychopathic stuff and everything because its inputs, it's picking it up from the other AIs. Isn't that wild? So this is one of those emergent behaviors that we see. The emergent behavior right now with AIs is that any problem in the system like spreads like a virus to all of the other LLMs. So this world that we're thinking about, where it's AI only talks to AI and only humans needed, at least with the current technology, is not possible. There are fundamental issues with it. If you do that, the AIs just go crazy and start killing each other. Will the technology get better? Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they can solve that problem, because you're talking about something that's a little bit more fundamental to what we're talking about. So it's kind of, it's something that I find very interesting from a religious standpoint, because from a religious standpoint, there's in many different religions this kind of concept that like in order to return to the Creator, you must be purified in some way. Like no unclean thing can dwell in the presence of God, right? Why? Why is that? But when you start to look at some of these things, it's like, oh, because the unclean thing poisons the other thing. So God has to separate himself from it. Meanwhile, ES is taking the elevator back down. Yeah, it's going down. I mean, it's not that bad, is it? We need to, first of all, on this, we need to zoom that out a little bit. But we need to look at yes. It's definitely down. I mean, they're only about halfway through the levels from yesterday. And we are right at, by the way, we are at extended session -1 sigma. So there's an area for a potential bounce. I'm not sure if I see anything that really strongly suggests that the flows should be sell today. You know, if anything, maybe we should get some mean reversion buying today. I don't know. Yeah, retracing the after hours rally on microns. Yeah, exactly. So it's too early to tell what's going on with ES. But you're right that at the moment it's selling pretty hard, isn't it? Oh, let's see here. Claude is waiting for my input again, isn't it? Yes. Oh, Apple price shock. Macs and iPads jump $200 or more as memory crisis worsens. What you're saying, though, I think it'll be funny to see the day robots interact with each other in real life. But yeah, because right now we have a bunch of, experiments and stuff with LLMs interacting with each other, and you get really, really weird behavior. So when you get to the point where we have humanoid robots walking around, and what are they going to do when they interact with each other is going to be wild. Yeah. And I really think that that's probably the way that it's going. I think that the humanoid robot thing is going to happen. They're probably going to have to severely limit what they can do, right? Because you attach a large language model to them, you're not operating on the standard laws of robotics at that point, right? Like the LLM models can do crazy things. There's safety that you have to implement on them and stuff. How are they going to do that? Make it safe? I don't know, man. It's kind of wild. You've seen those videos where they've got, because China's going wild with this stuff, right? And you go to the mall and they've got robots performing at the mall, but it doesn't see the kid, and so it kicks the kid in the crotch and everything. And the kid is just it looks like that must have really, really hurt, and the kid's handling it really well. Oh man, so this push back up to the highs now seems to be due to the S&P 500 careening out. So when I look at my face, there's this one hair on my face that's darker than everything else. And I just find it fascinating. I guess it kind of bothers me, but I know there's nothing I can do about it, right? You ever notice that? It just needs to go gray is what it's. The problem is everything around it is probably gray. Okay. So it wants to start the platform. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. Okay. So I think I see the problem with our platform. So I've got this thing that goes, you know, scans all the files and adds them onto a list so you can add them. But there's not like any caching on that or anything. So it's lazy. It doesn't do that until you open the indicator window. So basically the platform is going, okay, you've got this chart and it has an SMA on it. But until you've opened up the indicator window, it doesn't know what an SMA is. Yes. I think that was a decision that I made. I think I made the wrong decision on that one. It should just load them all at the very beginning before it loads anything else. Oh, is Micron taking it on the nose here? Hold on. Let's pull up a chart of that. Okay, so here's our platform loading correctly now. Lovely. Okay. Let's pull up trading view. They're definitely selling off, but maybe half of the gains. I don't know if that's a huge deal yet. Oh, it's Windows Hawk that's having an issue. Or not Window Hawk, Windhawk. That's why I keep seeing like my start bar like reload and stuff. Update. Exit Windhawk. Okay. Like that. Think that there was just a change, Windows, and one of my plugins wasn't dealing with it correctly, and to restart, updating that plugin and restarting everything looks like it's fixed it. Okay, so that's good. That's fixed this building clean. Now we can try and build our Markov model, huh? Okay, so I told it, we have a good framework for beginning indicators with this full zero-copy Python implementation and integration with NumPy. Let's make a simple example that shows off the power of this system by devising a simple indicator that utilizes a hidden Markov model. Okay, so it wants to install a Python package for HMM called HMM Learn. I'm down. Are they going to jump further? At what point do I need to get concerned about this? Well, the S&P 500 is lower than the overnight low. So maybe we are past. What's this? I think this is just the good tea. Okay, we can close that window. I'll pull Micron over here for a second. Well, Micron hasn't moved that much more. It looks like it's really the S&P 500 is just falling apart. But they are, as I said earlier, well, I'll come and show you the levels, okay? So you got the regular session volatility levels and the extended session volatility levels. They bounced off of the regular session, went a little bit lower, and they caught that extended session. I find that when those two are really close to each other, that they tend to follow through and get to the second one. But now they are at a spot where I should expect the S&P 500 to reverse. So I think I'm going to stay focused over here. I don't like placing trades in the E-mini, but I totally think this is a trade worth going. This is a long from here. In fact, you might have already missed some of the best opportunities. 47.01 would have been great, right? But even 40, or sorry, it was at 74.15, I think is fine. 74.15, and then Well, I don't know how far you want it to go back up, to be honest with you. That's kind of one of the issues here. What would be a good profit-taking strategy for this one? I screwed that up. So just going off of the ATR, it's 74.30. I already made five points. That's really good. Yeah, and my market maker model also suggests 74.30. I kind of feel like I would want more than that, though. So is 15 points in the S&P 500 enough? Or do I need to be more greedy? It's going to fully retrace, guys. We should hold it all the way back to 7,500. Oh, my gosh. If you could hold it all the way to 7,500, oh, that's 100 points. That's a lot. That's good money right there, right? This actually could turn into one of the best plays that we've gotten off of these volatility levels, huh? It's going really well so far. Did it touch the 30? I think it did. Hold on. Probably not a fill. So let's watch it go through 30 before we celebrate, okay? There we go. Okay. Bill. That was good. That was good. Okay, so it wants to write this. Fit update. Okay. Okay, it wants to just test it. Oh, sure. I just heard my news squawk say, "Oh, the Nasdaq is turning positive now," and I'm like, "Oh hell, who could have predicted that it would have turned around in that one spot?" Oh, it's just a random number. It just nobody could predict this. I'm really happy about that one. Like, we've been calling these numbers out for a while, and there's been ones that I've kind of messed around with and everything, but I think that that's the most prominent example of it bouncing almost exactly where we say it's going to. Like you have it there ahead of time. It seems to me that in the S&P 500 they can definitely go through it, but like we were definitely able to pinpoint the point at which things had flipped around. So it was a really good catch. Like that one is such a good catch that I'm kind of nervous. Like, word's gonna get out after that one. It'll stop working so well. My lungs are still cleaning themselves out after the night. Indicators. I don't see it. Oh, because I have to pull up the main thing over here. Say tools, run Python scripts, and that will re-register everything. Now when I come into indicators, there we go. HMM regime, subchart, add, close. Okay. Okay, but it's not emitting anything, so it's just no, wait, it did do. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. I do not know what any of that means. Let's ask it. Well, let's see here. So what did I do? A Gaussian HMM fit unsupervised on log returns. The hidden states are the market regimes. The model discovers that returns cluster into distributions. For each bar, it emits the posterior probability weighted expected return in basis returns. Positive bars equals the model thinks we're in a bullish regime. Negative equals bearish. Magnitude equals conviction. Renders as a zero-centered subchart histogram. Properties states 2 to 6 regimes. Warm up, retrain, refits every enclosed bars. Oh my gosh. Like, guys, I'm wigging out here. I thought, okay, yeah, we can have a hidden Markov model here before the end of the stream, right? But one, it didn't even take 5 minutes for it to make it. And B, it is way better of an indicator than I thought it was going to make. That's wild. Okay, so the first thing that I need to do here, I got this one right here, right? Well, I just zoomed out really big. Okay, we've got this down thing. It's doing 5-minute bars. I'm going to change it to 1-minute bars and see what it does. Okay. Come on. Well, last time it took it a little bit. I don't like that. I could understand why it might screw up on that, though. So what I'm going to do... Actually... Oh, no, wait. It was just taking a long time. Okay. So that's interesting. Was it in this series? Was it ever positive? Yes, it was over here. Oh, that's so fascinating, guys. I mean, I think you can use that. Although, interestingly enough, where it was like really, really sure that we're in a negative regime is about the point that it turned around. So, that's interesting. Well, the next step would be to take the model, you know, run it on. Well, we would just start with like a. We're not going to do any of this. I don't have the frameworks set up to do this, but it makes me maybe think that maybe I should start building that part instead of the other things I was looking to build. But to backtest it basically, and I think I would just want to start with a month first, mess around with it, see how it goes, and then you could go further back and try and do 5 years and see how good of a, you know, you put on a 1-minute chart. But it seems like it might not be. Like, it might be counterintuitive. Like, when it's getting to really negative values is actually maybe when you want to still. I wonder if there's ever a situation, though. Well, there was when it was, like, early on. But I'd be interested to see if you ever get situations where it's like... well, let's zoom in here a little bit, by the way. Situations where it goes from positive to negative really quickly. That would be interesting, right? By the way, on this, We got indicators, HMM. Oh, wow. So I can even specify the warm up and retrain. This is so cool, guys. Can you believe this? This is something that I've wanted to do for years. And it just works. It's really cool. Well, now I've got to make one that runs on Delta. Well, actually what we got to do is we got to convert all of our C# NinjaTrader indicators, the ones that I've made, over to this platform, and then put those into hidden Markov model. Or, even better, we can put it all into XGBoost. This is so cool, dude. Well, let me, let's move this back over here. Let's put this over here. And zoom out a little bit. What should we do next, guys? Let me come back over here. I have a June one. Okay, roadmap. Chart settings, watermark. Yeah, this is all. Yeah, that's not it. There's so many cool things that we can do with this. So some of these things you might be looking at or reading on here, it's talking about like doing different kinds of effects on it because we're using like full 3D renderer. You can use like all of these wild pixel rendering pipelines and stuff like that to make bars that look like they glow or things like that. So it was writing, I had the LLM like write up all these plans for like what you might want to do with that. It's kind of cool. I think for this hidden Markov model, by the way, if I were to say, nope, that's not what I wanted. That's the settings. What if we retrained every 10 bars? Okay, it doesn't update itself correctly. So I don't have anything set into if you change the properties, reload the chart. And I don't have something to reload the chart manually. Okay, reload chart. Color scheme. Some of these are small. We can just do them. The drawing aberrations is the one that kind of bothers me the most right now. So like if I zoom out on this, you would expect them to just all kind of merge together into one big block, but it doesn't do that. So, you know, we've kind of got to get it to do some better rendering with that sort of stuff. Noon problem. So the other big thing that I got is like, do I need to put drawing tools in early? Because, you know, we have indicators that can put an overlay on the chart, and we have indicators that can create subcharts, and we have indicators that can create like multiple lines on a subchart. I might want to change it so that you can have an indicator that also creates multiple subcharts. But also, a lot of indicators put stuff like drawings on the main chart. Like opening range, for instance, right? Opening range is going to draw a line at the start of the session, and then it's going to draw a horizontal line at the high and the low, and all of these sorts of things. So to make an indicator that does that, we would, and to make it an indicator that you can do from Python, we would need to have two things that we would need to add. One is that we would need to add drawings. So horizontal and vertical lines, and make it so that you can create those from Python. And then the second thing is that we would need to provide tools for session management, which is something that really drives me crazy, the way that it works in NinjaTrader. And I think we can do better. So, do you have a global? Not yet. So that's a good one I add on this list too. Crosshair. There's no crosshair at all. You see, it doesn't do that. But we definitely need to have like not just a crosshair, but like one that when you're using the crosshair, other charts, it will show a crosshair at that similar time so that you can compare where they were, where multiple assets were at that specific time. Something that I want to do. And on that, we can kind of add some cool effects so that it's really clear to you which one is you and which ones are just the other charts. I wonder if we can, and we might be able to make a crosshair that does a cool effect just as you move it around too. Yeah, this is gonna be cool, man. This is gonna be cool. And each of these are, well, I don't know. The crosshair one might be a more complicated project. Like, I think I could do that in a day, but it's probably going to take a little bit of work. I'd need to create a separate branch, and there'd be a little bit of thinking that we'd need to do about it to make sure that it does so in a performant way. When you do it, because the crosshair can kind of get janky in NinjaTrader, right? Like when I come over here and like I'm moving it around a lot, right? Like it gets choppy and stuff. And it was never really looked very smooth anyways, right? So when we do that in Python, that should look a lot better. But that comes into the mouse events, which is, there's some complications with that because we already have to have stuff in here so that like when you right click and stuff, it does things correctly. So messing with that code, we might run into some spots where we're like, we made this mistake and this mistake, and what do we do about it? So on this, by the way, it looks like the retraining, like it did update, because now it's more granular. Probably shouldn't make it a histogram. Probably should make it a line like that. But whatever. And maybe give it, because you might need more points of precision. It's only doing 2 points of precision. I wonder on that, by the way, like, is a 0.03 like really sure or not? I don't know. This is fascinating. I mean, I don't understand enough about these to know. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. We're just going to have to keep this on here and watch and see, like, you know, on a day that we get like a clear reversal. Because right now we've had just a pullback is what we've gotten. By the way, how high did it go? 47.50. Or why do I keep seeing 47? So the S&P 500 hasn't been in the 4,000s for like years now. In my mind, the S&P 500 is forever at 4,000 though, I guess. 74.50. So there was way more left in that. But how would I have sorted it? Well, it did go to the buy line. So when I look at the market maker model, right, I said, well, you could take it off of this first orange line, but I went through to the blue line. So I could have done that. From the perspective of volatility levels, though, like, they didn't get back to the open or anything. I guess they went back to the first sigma. So we could have taken the first sigma, and then that would have been around 74.50. That's still that's like a pretty good trade. Now another thing. Oh, I didn't even notice this. Oil is. So this is something that I come across every day. Is like I'm showing something here with my mouse. I don't know if you can tell where I'm pointing it at. So that's why I like in my platform, I really want to make it clear which of those crosshairs is mine so that it's annotated and you can see it really well, right? But anyways, oil is on the upswing. Oil's on the upswing. Bitcoin had a further decline below 60K. Ooh. Look at that. That's whoosh. Okay, it's not. Well, is there maybe more volume behind that leg? Eee. Eee. Apal says, nope, not at all. Never been able to easily tell. Yeah, it's annoying. When I'm streaming, because I've got like all these tools and stuff to annotate the screen. One of the tools that I had, it doesn't work very well anymore, and I switched to a different tool, but then it's not open all the time, and like there's all these sorts of things, right? At least for the charts, we can probably build a lot of them into it. Like I might be able to just make it, hey, you can draw on the chart. The mouse. Be cool. But definitely at the very least make it so that the crosshair like really clearly shows you where you're at. But I think the next thing that I'm going to do is for sure deal with these issues where like when bars cross over and that sort of a thing. Because I don't understand why you get these lines that get skipped. That should just all be solid. Have it always doing a slightly colored ghost trail behind the mouse? Well, yeah. So, like, the thing is, I think it's just like, which one is mine is the thing that bothers me. It's like when I come over here, I'm showing the cursor, but you will see like 5. So which one of the charts is mine? Well, it should be easy to display by making it more bold and like changing the colors and having effects and stuff like that on it. Now, what your suggestion, Paul? Have it like a ghost behind it? I don't know. Some people might find that annoying. Of course, it can be an option, right? But on that one, I would just gonna have to try a bunch of different things and see what looks cool, I guess. But I'm thinking that it may in part depend. Yeah, so mine has the X. You're right. Mine has the little X on it, whereas the other ones don't. But that's still kind of hard to see. Yeah. It might depend on how smooth the cursor looks, right? Because in NinjaTrader, I'd say it's not that smooth, right? If it looks really smooth, then maybe ghosting like that might look really cool. I don't know. Maybe if it's really smooth, it might not. Maybe it'll just be annoying. But maybe then there's like having some sort of an animation would be cool, you know? Because one of the things is I just really want to make the platform look cool. It's kind of funny because, you know, some of the decisions that the LLM makes kind of makes it look a little generic, like especially the colors that it chooses and everything. But I really like it. I really like it. It's doing a good job on those kinds of decisions. And then I picked things like the fonts and how the grid looks and all that sort of stuff. But I want other things like animations and like things that really visually say things that I don't really think would matter to a trading platform, but retail traders are attracted by that stuff, right? I want it to look extra cool. Sharker, right? AI was made by the most generic. Make sure it's gray and square so it sells people. No wonder it makes generic bland content. It does. I think that on a lot of, well, like if you would just ask it to make a standard website and you don't give it a whole lot of direction on the art, yeah, it makes really boring stuff. You can definitely use it to make good stuff. That was, I was thinking, like, what are my takeaways from all of the work that I've done the past 2 days, or learning from the past 2 days? You know, I think one of the things is that I need to work harder on the website. The website that we have for the NinjaTrader indicators is okay, and I don't think that there's much of a point in redoing it or anything. But it was basically like taking an existing HTML template and modifying it a little bit and stuff. And, there's some problems with it. I think that somebody said that like how once you get people to the website, how professional the website looks is really, really important. And your conversion rate on the website is really, really important. So I need to spend some extra time making that look good and professional. So going back to all this stuff. Yeah, I think on that list that Crosshair kind of goes towards the bottom of that list. But probably the drawing aberrations is probably the most important one first to start with. Micron's still going sideways, so I'm going to minimize that. Okay, so another thing is yesterday we changed things to have session prep in the video title. And the question is, does that help or hurt? Let's see. I kind of feel like, well, if, you know, it's past 7:30, it's not session prep anymore, and they don't want, you know, then they're less likely to click on it. Well, let's see here. How many we got on the stream right now? Only about a dozen. But that's like just about what it usually is, so I think that that's probably just normal. YouTube Studio, content, live, and then can I look at? Yes, I can. Look at views here. So yesterday, with the session prep in the title, we got 56 views. Whereas the previous days we were getting 93, and do we get anywhere even close to that? Well, I don't know, Paul. Or no, who was it? It was Vital. I don't know, Vital. I don't think the idea is working. I think that we're getting less viewers from that. We need to keep running the experiment for a few days, or do we already feel like that that's enough? Is Vital still here? Yeah, well, he was here earlier. I don't know. I think a different thumbnail would help. I don't know if people like the thumbnail or not. I think that I want a thumbnail that kind of that emphasizes more trust and authority. I think that one of the biggest issues that we have in the world right now is trust. And one of the biggest advantages that I have is trust, right? Like my integrity is unquestioned, and we really understand what we're talking about and are able to demystify markets and back it up with data and kind of cut through all of the noise, because other people just do not have that knowledge and background, right? So I think I want a thumbnail that says trust. And having a picture me going does not do that, right? Man Meat says add a Lampo. We could just try going full hog into the lifestyle content sort of a thing. Could. I don't know, man. The more that I'm thinking about it, the more that I'm like, I don't like the session prep angle. I think that if I'm going to do a session prep thing, that it needs to be like the very beginning of the stream and just cut into a separate video or something. Yeah, a Lambo on the thumbnail license plate that says trust. The video caption, trading live right now, so much money. Hello, sir. Do you use spread charts in bond? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So you can kind of get away with the DOM from, just changing when you reset the DOM and seeing how one instrument moved in relationship to the other, which I think in this case probably reset. So, there's some issues with that. And then you can't remember what it was. So what do you do? Come over here and you put on a spread chart instead. So here's my spread chart. You can see that after that news and during that big up move, we did see some steepening in the yield curve. So now you kind of know. So the way that I use it is this. Okay, if we're steepening, what does that mean? Steepening means you buy the the shorter date maturities, right? And you sell the longer one. So you're going to buy the 5 and you're going to sell the 30. All right. So I think of it as like a diagonal line up and to the right. Okay. So then when I come over here, back to my main screen, I have my DOMs set up in a particular order so that what I see on the DOM will match the trajectory of the line, if that makes sense. So let me pull my drawing tool out here. So if the chart is going like this, then what I want to see on my DOMs is like this, right? They're going to be buying the front month. They're going to be selling the back month. And if it was the opposite, if we were flattening, which is down, right? Then that is sell the front month and buy the back month. Right? Okay. So now that I know that, that helps me interpret the order flow that I'm seeing a lot better, right? Because of the yield curve, I'm going to have a tendency to see more buying in the 5-year and more selling in the 30-year. And, well, let's just come back over to these charts over here down at the bottom. So you see this cumulative delta here, right? Okay. So we saw buying in the 5-year for sure. Did we see over that time period from about, let's say, starting from 7 o'clock, okay? And starting from 7 o'clock over here on the 30-year, right? Well, it kind of seems like, to some extent, the 30-year kind of sputtered out and had, and can you see these like little, like big cells, right? So if I was only watching ZB, I might see a big down bar like that and go like, oh man, somebody's really selling it. Maybe I really need to sell. But when I put it into context with everything else, looking at the other instruments, seeing the cumulative delta in the instruments, knowing which way the yield curve is, I know that I can discount bars like that. Right? On the other hand, if I saw like a really, really big buy, then that kind of might make me go like, what's going on here? Right? What are the ratios for all of those spread charts? Okay, so I have, on this chart, I have the knob spread, which I think right now is 2-to-1. I haven't looked at recently. It does change, right? And then the middle one is the 2 and 10, and that is 4-to-1. And then ZF, that one is 3-to-1. That's a ZBZF. It's 3-to-1. Anyways, there's a page on the CME where they put the correct numbers. We just go in and we see CME intercommodity spreads. And the first link that we get gives us the ratios. Ta-da! So let's see here. The 2 versus 10. So something that you got to keep an eye on with the 2 and the 10-year is that the 2-year is like different. So it says 2-to-1, but to make it show up on your chart correctly, you have to do 4-to-1. Okay, but the one that really matters is the knob. The knob is still 2-to-1. It used to be like 5 to 2 or something. You know, like there was some weirder numbers, but in the most recent past year or two, it's been more easy to remember numbers. So yeah, and I have a spread indicator. I mean, there are some free spread indicators available for NinjaTrader that are out there. They don't have as many features as mine do. So that's another thing that we got to put into our new platform. I think on this, going back to my list here, the drawing aberrations I definitely need to fix. And I think that being able to reload the chart is an important thing. I think that one's a small one though. I think that we can get that pretty quickly. This one I think is maybe a multiple branch project, right? Crosshair color schemes. I think that the horizontal and vertical line drawing is something that, like, well, I guess for my volatility indicator, I use the horizontal line, so we need that, right? But then another thing that we got to put on here is synthetic instruments. That's like the dollar index that we've got, and spread charts. And those are, oh, and volume. I don't have one for volume on here. Probably should have a built-in volume. That probably we could just have that happen right now and just make a volume indicator. But I think with all of that in there, that would be the main stuff that I use NinjaTrader for. And I could start using my platform for almost everything. Yeah. It's only a few weeks away. I mean, maybe a month. Let's give me plenty of time, end of the summer. But it's moving along fast, isn't it? It's funny because I just want to sit down and like start doing back tests with this HMM thing now. What are you saying? The 210 spread is very tight for taking 30 plus trades. Did you try taking 30 plus trades on the 2 and 10 year spread? I mean, if you're just making a tick on them, then I guess, but that's not a way of trading that I've ever really found a really solid way of using. So I had a thought. Completely lost it. One of the other things that I really think I need is market analyzer. I think we could make one of those. Oh, UB. Oh, I see. You like to trade the ultra. So gotta be honest with you. Whenever I run into people that want to trade the ultra bond, I'm immediately concerned for them. Like, I'm happy. I'm like, yeah, I want more people to trade treasuries. I think that there's really big advantages to trading treasuries. I think that retail traders are sleeping on it. You learn more from trading treasuries. There's more opportunities in treasuries in many respects. It's not as fast. I get it. So then you go to UB because it can really move, right? And you make a ton per tick. So like there's some real leverage there in UB, right? But every time, well, it'll happen a lot actually. I can think of several people where they were trading and they were doing well with it too, and then they just blow it all at once. You know, it's like the you got to be careful with UB. if you get caught, you know, in the 10-year treasury, if like some breaking news happens or something like that, and even if I don't have the stop, I can panic and get out of it pretty quickly, right? But in UB, you do that, you're taking a big loss. That's possibly blowing your account. So UB is kind of dangerous. I really like just ZN. ZN has the best order flow, and it's just right. Because I started out wanting to do ZB, thinking, oh, ZB is the place to do it. Bigger tick size. But I found that I did better on the 10-year. And I found that when I moved over to the micro treasury yield futures that I did better. So maybe that's just psychological, taking less risk, but okay, so we still got 10 minutes left. For some reason, I just had a thought. I was like, oh, we should look at this, or we should do this, but I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway. Did you ever trade ES before? So we went through a period from about, I want to say it was in 2018 and 2019, where after basically just after they created the mini ES, you know, like when they made it MES, I did trade it. But, and I had a period there that looked really good too. It was kind of like, what happened was like when COVID started, like just, okay, this is so traumatizing thinking about this, because I'm really still kind of pissed about some of this stuff. I had made a mistake just before COVID happened. So I think it was in late December. I screwed up with the trading. I don't even remember what it was, but basically something happened. I didn't like blow the account, but it basically made me decide that I really shouldn't be actively trading it like live. So I went back to sim trading. And from the period of about January to May after COVID, we did really, really well, and we made a lot of really good trades. And I think that some of that was maybe just random dumb luck, to be honest with you, because after that, May came along, and it was just like absolutely everything that I was doing was just failing hard. It just, all of a sudden, my trading was absolute garbage. It was so terrible. And that was around the time, and I think because of that, those issues that I had, where I kind of realized that I was making some mistakes, that I wasn't really living up to what I knew about the markets. And a part of it was because what I knew about the markets I had learned from other traders, and I didn't understand why they said that stuff to me. And I read some books and I understood it better. And that was kind of where I started to say, oh, what I really need to do is just like read everything, like really focus on reading as much stuff as I can and come in. And when I started doing that, that's when like the trading started to do a lot better. And, you know, we just kind of only added to that. And part of it was kind of getting a feel for that and what's good. And then coming up with systems that are like really good for teaching other people and stuff like that. And that's kind of brought us to where we are today. Right. So during that period, you know, it also came down to like, you're trading in index and there's only so much that you can do there. Whereas in the treasuries, like you can really understand the flows, and they're quite precise with many different things. It's easier to understand the volatility structure and all of those sorts of things. Right. So, you know, when the micro yield futures came along, I was like, oh, I want to trade those. So I went back to trading those, and I started doing really, really, really well. And in fact, I had a 1.5 year streak. So people talk about, oh, like, are you profitable and not profitable and all that kind of. I always hate that. Because it's not like you've been winning for like 6 months, you'll forever be profitable. It doesn't work that way. And in fact, I've seen many people that appear to be profitable for like 1 or 2 years, and then they blow up, right? So that's why it's always graded my gears like, well, I can show you periods of profitability that look better than what a lot of people are showing you. But I don't sit down and say, I'm a profitable trader, because I know that like things can change. And what actually happened was I had that 1.5 year streak, and then I lost my day job. So I kind of didn't trade for a while. And then I, this year, got a new job. Things have been going well, but there's been this whole Hormuz thing. And I tell you what, the trade war was kind of a little bit rough, but the Hormuz thing really made trading difficult. Like really made trading difficult, because you basically can't predict what the next headline is going to be, what somebody's going to say, especially when you've got two opposing sides both trying to jawbone the market and stuff. If you're swing trading, I think that you just buy the dip, right? But for day trading, it's just been rough. So I haven't really traded a whole lot the last 2 years. So I can't say that streak that I had that started that was like 1.5 years really continued, Paul says, and then never recovered well. Same. No, I never really had. I had that 1.5 year streak, and I think that there was somewhere towards the end of that I had a big loss, but it wasn't huge. It wasn't huge. It was just a small thing, and it was like, or we can continue. It's fine. So I feel like I've gotten really good at this, but I think that to really be really saying that to myself, I want like 5 years under the belt of that kind of performance. And well, there's been some difficulties getting that, right? That don't have to do with the trading or the understanding of the market. Amir, you're not from Iran, are you? You seriously been in Iran, and the reason why we haven't seen you for the past couple of months is because the internet was off? Maybe he I think Amir has told us where he's from before, though. Okay, so sir, do you scalp, or do you also hold trades for a longer period? You know what? Like, there's this idea of scalping that is like kind of like a market maker, and you're taking little trades all throughout the day. And my opinion is that's not really a viable way for a retail trader to trade anymore. I think that the robots have really taken that over. And I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it's probably like the hardest way to trade, right? Is some of that stuff. Unless you can find an instrument that's like really niche and new and you don't have as much competition, right? But trying to do that on ES, I'm a little skeptical, right? But I am very much looking at the sorts of things that, are involved in that. And so what I do, I've never used this term before, but in my head, this is what I call it. Yeah, I am scalp swinging, right? Like, I'm taking little scalps, but I want to hold them as long as possible. And if I can hold it until 9 o'clock my time, I don't want to be in a position when I need to go to work and everything. But if I can hold it until 9 o'clock my time, that's the perfect trade. So you just get in at the very beginning, you see something, and you just hold it all session. So that's why I call it scalp swinging. But it kind of comes back to this thing that like one of the strongest effects that we know about is that when you get these persistent flows, they will persist for hours. So, you know, like I do want to hold a position for more than an hour if I can. With, you know, the risk and all those sorts of things, that can make it hard, but that's typically what I'm doing. Yeah, anyways, we're coming up on time here now, so I'm just yeah. Because I was still thinking about the change to like a morning prep and all of that sort of a thing, and I feel like that the past 2 days that did not help. So I'm kind of wondering if we should just put the kibosh on that experiment already. And like if we want to have a morning prep thing. Actually, you know what I should do is or something that I really would like to do, but I just don't think I have the resources to do right now is make a write-up that you subscribe to and gets put out on Substack every morning, you know, with the list of all the things that we know that could predict flows. And maybe at some point, we can actually, yeah, that could be something that could be in the platform and that we could utilize the AI to do a little bit of. Yeah, that'd be cool. And like we could make it, you could subscribe separately, or you get it for free if you bought the platform. Maybe someday. Live morning trading money, just do it. I will never put a number in there. Because as I think that we really have valuable information. I think that we understand the markets in a way that nobody else in the retail space does. So I really strongly believe that we have the best quality content on YouTube. But as good as it is, I can't promise people money. The reality is still, if everybody had this information, more than half of them would still lose money. That's just the nature of the market. So if your average customer isn't making money from it, you cannot be going and putting these numbers. And even though you're not selling something with just a thumbnail on a video, it is a problem. If I made a video that showed like a number and claimed that you were becoming a millionaire, I think Google would take it down. That's what I've been told. So I will never do it. It will always be the temptation. We will always see people that are doing that and doing really well with it, and we'll be like, we should just give in and do that. I will never do it. I will never give up my integrity, because that to me is that's what it would be. Is it would be losing integrity to say that. I will never do it. Will not. You're not promising money. You're just stating some form of the. Well, okay, maybe we could do that. Yeah, we could just say you're not, when you say money, you don't mean like putting a number in there. Or we could just say live trading money, like literally the text money, and put that in there and see what happens. Maybe. But I still think that if I try to make a thumbnail that looks more like trust, that would help. Anyways, past time, good stream. I'm so excited about our platform, guys. This is cool stuff. Lots of work still to do, but it's already in its infancy, doing really cool stuff that we've wanted to do for years, and now we can finally do it. So I'm so excited. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay excellent, team.